challenge from Kate last week regarding, do I say regarding a lot? She gave me a description of a scene that had to be included as part of the scenery in a short story, and I was really happy after I heard the sentence that I got this challenge, and creds to Dest for totally helping me out on this. I love you, Twitch. It was on one dreary Tuesday that she could be seen standing near a naked tree. Her hair was down for once, and the humidity from the light rain gave it more of a wiry look than usual. Umbrella floating above her, she stood with her face expressionless, glancing at her surroundings. To an observant passer-by, if there had been any, she would have appeared to be waiting for something, though not for any material object, but for something larger and much more subconscious consuming. Her dark trench coat almost hid the gray-brown shirt that accentuated her slowly sweeping brown eyes. She observed the building across the street and to the left of where she was standing. It was old with the city, and the gray bricks looked as though they wanted to walk away from the past. Only a few years ago, this building was part of the Thesis Bingo project, but it burned one night, becoming a shell of emptiness. The thought of this made the woman look down at her shoes and at the ground of the concrete park where she was standing. Her mind jumped to a dozen different memories, but she still showed no emotion. After a breath or two, and silencing her thoughts, she again looked up, now catching sight of an elderly man walking across the faded grass. She wondered about him for a moment, and felt sorry for him for reasons she wouldn't have been able to explain. But she dismissed these thoughts as he continued walking. The man passed a dry and cracked pond, and her eyes rested there. The once pond was receiving what little water it could from the weather, but dust was rising from each raindrop, and it would certainly remain empty. For a moment a sliver of sun passed through the clouds and reflected on the metal of a shopping cart, laying on its side next to another wall of brick, showing off its 3 wheels and personal drops of water. The woman caught the instantaneous glare out of the corner of her eye, but did not glance at the shopping cart. If she looked at it, her purpose there would become even more real to her, and hold even more weight than it already did. As if someone had flipped a switch, the nasal accent of an Englishwoman replayed in the woman's head, but she silenced it before the words re-registered in her mind. At last, a thin figure rounded the corner of the building supporting the cart. As he passed the cart, he dropped the cloth shoulder bag lightly into its metal skeleton. He continued walking down the street, head bent to hide his face. Once this man was out of sight, the woman made the move she had been anticipating, and with her umbrella-free hand, she lifted the bag over her shoulder. She knew that now she carried much more weight than simply its contents. The woman lifted her heavy hand to brush her hair behind her ear, and barely allowed herself a wince as she looked once again at her surroundings. The gray Tuesday was waiting to end, and she realized that by this time next week, all this could be gone. Gripping, isn't it, darling?